Okay, everyone, just a short video today. The trial of Karmelo Anthony. We've all heard by now he was found guilty of murdering Austin Metcalf last year. Anthony was 18 at the time. Metcalf was 17. The sentence was 35 years. Now, some folks are saying the trial was over at jury selection because it was an all-white jury and the case was racially charged. Now, the jury pool was drawn from Collin County, Texas. Let's look at the demographics. 50% white, 21% Asian, 16% Hispanic American, 11 to 12% African American. So the racial composition of the jury didn't match up with the demographics of Collin County, Texas. Not even close, I would say. Now that in itself could be an inference of discrimination in jury selection, according to the landmark case that went to the Supreme Court of the United States, Batson v. Kentucky, from which I quote, "Circumstantial evidence of invidious intent may include proof of disproportionate impact," unquote. But there's another issue here, gerrymandering. Now, there were no cameras in the courtroom, and even if cameras had been allowed, they're usually turned off during jury selection to protect the privacy of jurors. Now, in rare cases, some state courts will allow cameras for jury selection, but the cameras can only be pointed to the judge and attorneys because of those issues of juror privacy and juror anonymity. So let's assume the record supports the defense objection. Maybe toward the end of jury selection, most of the jurors were seated and everyone had an idea by then of the composition of the jury. Now, the prosecution could respond to the Batson challenge with the facts, saying, for example, most of the people who showed up for jury duty that day were white, if the facts line up with that. Now, the defense still could challenge, based on the Sixth Amendment, which says that the jury must be drawn from a fair cross-section of the community whose boundaries must have been ascertained previously. So, gerrymandering could have skewed the jury pool. Now, Collin County, Texas has been repeatedly redrawn through gerrymandering. Racial gerrymandering is unconstitutional, according to the Supreme Court of the United States, but partisan gerrymandering is constitutional. However, the Supreme Court of the United States said nothing at all about gerrymandering that raises an inference of discrimination in jury selection, as acknowledged in Batson v. Kentucky. Is the Supreme Court going to overrule Batson now? No, it will not. And in my view, any type of gerrymandering that skewed the jury pool could play a role in winning a new trial for Karmelo Anthony. Now, putting aside the facts of the case, whether you believe Karmelo Anthony murdered Austin Metcalf in cold blood or was just defending himself against an aggressor, every defendant is entitled to an impartial jury drawn from a fair cross-section of the community in the district in which the alleged crime took place, whose boundaries shall have been previously ascertained by law. Now, in the past, Collin County has been the subject of gerrymandering battles, alleged to be partisan and racial. For Karmelo Anthony, in my view, it doesn't matter if the intent in gerrymandering was partisan, so long as there was a disproportionate racial impact on jury composition. And although just this year the Supreme Court of the United States affirmed that partisan gerrymandering is constitutional, the Supreme Court said nothing at all about partisan gerrymandering that raises an inference of racial discrimination due to a disproportionate impact on jury composition, if that's what happened in the trial of Karmelo Anthony. And if it did, it would unquestionably be a Batson violation, in my view. Even if the gerrymandering that brought about the Batson violation was partisan gerrymandering and therefore constitutional, that doesn't matter. They are separate issues for the constitutional analysis. And the issue of gerrymandering, any type of gerrymandering that skews the jury pool, doesn't just impact the Karmelo Anthony case, every criminal case throughout the United States, because of the nonstop gerrymandering that's been going on, could be impacted. Under Batson, what is that? It's the law of unintended consequences. Thanks for watching, and if you enjoyed this video, leave a like and don't forget to subscribe.